there, beautiful soul. Welcome to this podcast series of It's Time to Thrive. Now, you are definitely in the right place if you are feeling stuck, stagnant, feeling fed up, you feel like you're not making any progress, keeping yourself up at night, stressing, worrying. You're looking for an answer, you're searching for a way out, and you are most definitely feeling unfulfilled in life right now. So do not worry. If this is you, I have got you, and I can guarantee by the end of this podcast series, my aim for you, my darling, is to be feeling that life is so much easier, that you have got clarity on what things that you need to be doing. You've got certainty that you are making progress, and you are beginning to thrive. You are beginning to thrive in all areas of your life. And I know that is a big promise, but I know what it's like, okay? I have been there. I have been you. I have been there. I know what it feels like to feel stuck, stagnant, stuck in your head, and actually not having a way out. So that's the reason why I've created this series, okay? So this is the series that I really hoped that back in January 2021 that somebody handed to me and said, look, here you go, listen to this. It's got all the tools, it's got the strategies, it's got insights into what stuff you need to be doing to get you out of your head, which is where you're dead, by the way. So if you're stuck in your head, you're dead already. But it gets you out of your head, it gets you taking action, it gets you feeling, like you're making progression, like you're making momentum. And that is where I want you to be, my darling, by the end of this podcast series. So don't skip any of these, do not skip any of these episodes. Stick to it till the end. You can pause it. That's the beauty of it. You can listen to it on the go, pause it. You can replay it back. It's going to stay in here. There's no time limit on it. And it's easy accessible, okay? So you do whatever you need to do, but please make a promise to yourself that this is not going to be something that you listen to and don't do any action, or you sign up and you don't even listen to it, okay? Because you're failing yourself, and I really don't want that for you. So I want you to say it out loud, okay? I commit to listening to this series. I commit to taking the action. And with that being said, I'm going to get straight into it. Okay, so this first part of this podcast series is all about learning where you are right now and what needs to change. So I know for me personally, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my story and, why I've decided to create this series. I was in a toxic relationship, and that's what's actually made me decide to do this series. So back in January 2021, I'd been with my partner at that time for over 7 years, but I was unhappy in that relationship for a good 3-4 years, okay? And I just got myself, you've probably been there, if you're listening to this is probably going to be really relatable. And it doesn't have to be a relationship, it can be a business, it can be a job, and we just get ourselves comfy, okay? So even though what is going on in our life at that time may be uncomfortable, it might be frustrating, we get ourselves stuck in a rut because we think to ourselves, well, it's in our comfort zone. So we're sticking with what we actually know. So, stepping out of that relationship, stepping out of that job, whatever it is that's creating this pain and discomfort at the time, it's more scary. So stepping out of that comfort zone into this brand new world of, let's dip my toe into what it would feel like to not be in a relationship, to actually be single, or what would it be like to apply for that job application, whatever it might be. It's so much easier to stay in our comfort zone. But by staying in our comfort zone, that is not where we grow. And if you've got a pen and paper to hand, I seriously suggest you start writing some of these golden nuggets that I'm going to be dashing out to you, because these are the things that are going to really cement it in, and you're going to have so many realizations. So get a pen and paper ready and start writing these things down if you haven't done so already. But it was only until I realised that by keeping myself stuck in that situation, I was actually hindering myself. And I will actually tell you the reason how I got onto making that aha moment. And I call it like, a great awakening. So for me, my great awakening happened in January 2021, where I was sat on my sofa one evening. My partner at the time had actually gone out for, I don't know, like the third time that week. I'd put the kids to bed, and I remember just sitting down on the sofa, and I actually questioned, there's got to be more to life than this. I was feeling deflated. I was feeling fed up. I was feeling as if I was not making any progress, constantly worrying, feeling burnt out, feeling stressed. And all of a sudden, in that very moment, it was like I had a aha moment. And all of a sudden, I realised it was like this voice that was talking back to me, and it said, you have got a way out. You're the one that was keeping yourself stuck in that position. And all of a sudden, I had this big, massive light bulb moment of, oh my goodness, I was. There was nobody sat there with a gun to my head telling me that I had to stay in this relationship. There was nobody saying to me that I had to stay there and put up with all the SHIT that I was putting up with. I was the one that was keeping myself stuck there. And the reason why I was doing that was because I was so fearful, I was so afraid of actually stepping my toe in that water. I was so scared of what was on the other side of my comfort zone, what was on the other side of fear. It was the unknown. So although I was in this unhappy relationship, I had the certainty that even though this relationship was absolutely shitty, it was, I was doing everything. I had to do, look after the kids. I had to do the housework. I had to do all the cooking, the cleaning. I was basically a single parent, but obviously in a relationship at the same time. I had that certainty that I knew that I was still going to come home and I was still going to have somebody there. I had the certainty of knowing that, my kids still had another parent in their life. Yes, guaranteed, he wasn't doing what he should be doing, but, there was a certainty there. It was the uncertainty that I was afraid of. It was the uncertainty of actually stepping my toe on the other side of, I was uncertain what was going to happen. But in that moment, I realised that by keeping myself stuck in that position, my life wasn't going to change. I realised that I needed to overcome this fear, and fear actually stands for two reasons. It stands for two things actually. It stands for false evidence appearing real, or it also stands for fear everything and rise. Now, I realised in that moment that what I was afraid of, for me, I had to sit with that. I had to sit with, okay, I realised that, first of all, I was the one that was keeping myself stuck, okay? I was the one that I wasn't making any progress, and that was because I was so afraid of stepping out of my comfort zone. So I had to get true with myself. I had to be honest with myself of what it was that I was actually afraid of. I had to put myself in that situation as almost as if, I was living in a different reality of, okay, I've made this decision. What am I so afraid of? What do I actually believe is going to happen? And once I had done that, I had to then sit with, okay, so all of these things that have come out of, my thoughts and the words that are coming out of my mouth, of all the things that I thought was going to happen, I had to sit with them and just be like, okay, well, is this actually 100% true? And for the majority of them, it wasn't true. I had this image of that I was going to leave this relationship and not be able to find anywhere. So that would mean that I was homeless. And because I was homeless, that meant that I couldn't look after my children, or I'd end up in a hostel, or, I built this image in my head of a reality that I wasn't 100% true. It wasn't 100% true. So once I had that realization, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, fear has such a hold over everybody, okay? And that's the reason why majority of people do not make progress, is because of fear, or it's because of limiting beliefs. And we're going to get into that like more into the series. But fear, again, is false evidence appearing real. So I was sat there like absolutely scared stiff of taking any action, because first of all, it was like I was feeling as if, well, things are going to get better. You know, that's what we do as well as humans. We always like create this story in our head of how we think that by staying where we are, if we are feeling unfulfilled, that for somehow it's going to miraculously get better. And I can tell you that after being stuck in that relationship for 7 years, and 4 years of those is where I was unhappy, I kept telling myself that story of, oh, it'll get better. Things are gonna change. He's gonna improve. Things are gonna be fine. And I'm telling you now, like, that story was not real. That story was just something that I was telling myself to create the certainty in myself that by staying in there, I was making the right decision. Because in reality, I wasn't making the right decision, but I wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't trusting my own intuition, and I wasn't allowing myself to be in alignment with the actions that I needed to be taking. So I made that decision in 2000. So I had my own property in 2019. I sold that property and I moved in with my partner at the time, even though I knew and I had this niggling doubt of, you're making the wrong decision. This is not going to work out. Like, you do not need to do this. But I didn't listen to it because, again, it was that uncertainty. So I chose the certainty of, okay, well, I've got somebody that definitely wants to be with me. And, you know, we're going to create this great future together. But in reality, that was not what was happening. And I mean, I've done this before in previous jobs as well, you know, stayed in unfulfilling jobs of thinking, oh, it's going to get better, I'll get a pay rise, you know, the job description will get better, whatever it may be. And in reality, I knew deep down that I was made for more. And if you're listening to this, I know that you are feeling the same. You are feeling that you are made for more. And you are. Because it's your time to thrive. It's your time to actually realise that where you are right now is only temporary, and you can absolutely bloody change it. But you've just got to give yourself permission to actually face your fears and actually learn that majority of the stuff that you're telling yourself is not true. So that brings us on nicely to the first like clarity tool of what you need to do in order for you to have that epiphany, have that light bulb moment of realizing like what you need to do. Okay, so what I want you to do is, if you're not already in a quiet space, if you're driving, obviously you're going to have to pause this and then come back to it. But what I want you to do is I want you to just close your eyes for a second. And obviously how you see this or what comes up for you is perfectly fine. You might not see it, you might just hear it. You know, just trust yourself. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to imagine that you've listened to these podcasts, you've listened to other people's opinions, and you've not done anything about, you know, you've listened to other people's advice, and you've not done anything about the current situation that's going on. So whatever is making you unhappy at the moment and feeling unfulfilled, I just want you to imagine that you've not done anything. You've continued as you have been doing and struggling for however long you've been struggling for. And I want you to now imagine that 6 months has gone past. So what does your life look like now? Where are you? What other problems have occurred for you? What does your life look like? How are you feeling? So really take that in. Amazing. Now I want you to fast forward 1 year. So 1 year from now, what's going on for you? Has your life got harder? Has it got better? Has it got worse? Okay, so now we're going to fast forward 3 years. So we've not done anything. We've stayed in the same situation. We've stayed in the same relationship. We've stayed in the same job. We've stayed in the same situation that you've currently been in. And now 3 years, 3 whole years have now passed. What does your life look like now? What decisions have you made? What problems have occurred? How are you feeling? What's your health look like? How are you dressing? What do you look like? Where are you? Perfect. Right now, we're going to go 5 years. So we're 5 years now into the future. What's going on for you? What are those around you saying to you? What decisions do you wish that you had now made? Looking back on your life over the 5 years where you've not taken any action, what decisions, what do you wish could have been differently? What do you wish you had done differently? What help did you need? What guidance or support do you wish you had taken? Perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to imagine we're going back in time to where we are now. Okay, so we're back in the present. So wherever you are right now, if you're sat on your sofa, if you're sat in the car, wherever you are, we're back in the now. Okay, so we're now going to take those decisions. So whatever it was that we did before, we're now going to take that decision. So we're going to move our life again 6 months ahead. Okay, so how different does this life look like now for you? Now that you've taken that decision, now that you've made that change in your life, now that you've implemented the different action or the strategy, you've invested in a coach, you've tried something different, you've left that relationship, you've left that job, you've started a business, whatever it is, how different does your life look like now? Perfect. Right, so we're moving now a year. We're going forward a year now. What's different? What's going on for you? Where are you? What do you look like? How are you showing up? Like really take all of this in, because this is what's possible for you. Right, we're moving 3 years now, okay? Let's go 3 years now into the future. What decisions are you making? How differently are you showing up? What new habits have you created? Like, what is going on? How are you dressing? What words are you saying? How different are you? What's different about you to where you are right now? Perfect. Now we're going to go 5 years into the future. What's going on? What have you created? What are your friends and family saying to you? What can you hear? What can you taste? What can you touch? What can you see? Take all of this in, because this is what's possible for you, my friend. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and bring yourself back in the now. That is the results, okay? So the reason why I've done that with you is to give you the opportunity to just show you what would happen. So you've continued where you are right now, okay? You've continued on the path of not taking action compared to taking the action. So look at how different your life gets to be. And now I'm going to close this module out with this, because you have now got the option. You have now got that choice. Okay, so remember, there is nobody stood there with a gun pointing to your head. Okay, the evidence that you have got, this fear, is false evidence appearing real. It's not real. So I want you to ask yourself that question of what choice are you now going to make? Are you going to go with the choice of taking no action and staying where you are and being afraid of fear and living in your comfort zone? Or are you going to go with the second option, is where you face your fears, we realise that it's false evidence appearing real, we take the action step, and we step into this brand new best version of you, the version of you that's going to thrive. So the option and the choice is down to you. So if you are option number 2, which I'm trusting that you guys are after doing that first part, then I'm going to see you over in the next module, where we're going to start looking at what your why is, and also, what areas of your life are you wanting to change. So it has been amazing. I've been so blessed to actually deliver this to you, and I trust that this has been really, really helpful for you, and I will see you over in the next module.